I would never intended for him to start 7 games last year, which is quite obvious. They wouldn't give him a snap in practice. Right. So then you say he can develop, and that's what it comes down to for Shedeur. He's got a huge 5-6 months ahead in terms of getting with that coach, getting in the weight room, doing all those things, learning from the good and the bad, because they were both. In almost every game there was good. The Chicago one is the one exception. And then there was a bad, especially at the end. And you can easily say, well, he didn't have much help because he didn't. So developmental quarterback, the Browns have him. They should continue to invest and develop him into what he becomes. I think
Zack Jackson didn't tiptoe around the subject, didn't dress it up, and didn't try to make anyone comfortable. He said it straight. Shedeur Sanders is absolutely worth the gamble as a developmental quarterback, and if this is handled the right way, it could completely reshape the Browns' future. That's not some wild headline grab. That's basic football logic. Now, the real question is simple, but it's one nobody in Cleveland likes answering. After Kevin Stefanski's firing, will the Browns finally commit to Shedeur Sanders the right way, as a true development QB, not just a title on paper, but a plan in reality? Or are we about to watch the same failure loop play out again? Let's call it what it is, because pretending otherwise helps no one. This was never a fair setup for Shedeur from the very beginning. The Browns labeled him a development project, then treated him like a ticking problem they were afraid to invest in. No meaningful reps, no consistent practice time, no flow, no confidence building, no commitment, nothing.
Mary Kay said, this is my breaking news, by the way, so let's try to give credit where credit is due. I know it's not always possible, so I want to make that clear with you guys. This is Mary Kay. She wants the credit. We're going to give her credit as far as breaking the news that Jesse Minter is not interviewing for the Browns head coaching job. He feel like he have better opportunities elsewhere. This make it the second coach to turn down an interview with the Cleveland Browns. It was Mike McDaniel at first. Now it's this defensive coordinator from the Chargers. Just want to make sure I point that out with you guys as we
And then, out of nowhere, they toss him into real game action and act stunned when he doesn't look perfect. That's not patience. That's sabotage pretending to be a plan. That's not how quarterbacks are built. Not in this league, not in any league. You can't stash a player all week, roll him out on Sundays, and expect a miracle. Kevin Stefanski kept selling the idea that there was a vision, while every move on the field said the exact opposite. If you actually believe in a young quarterback, you invest early, you coach early, and you protect early. Instead, Shedeur was glued to the sideline, acknowledged only when convenient, then blamed the moment things got uncomfortable. That's bad football. That's fear-based leadership. And when the Browns gave Dillon Gabriel reps over Shedeur Sanders, that message echoed through the entire building. Taking reps away always sends a signal, but doing it over and over sends one that's impossible to ignore. That's when the chaos starts piling up. Strange injury decisions, protection issues that somehow never get corrected, receivers disappearing right when timing matters most. Fans aren't dumb, and they're definitely not blind. When linemen blow basic assignments and Jerry Jeudy looks mentally checked out, it doesn't come across as coincidence. It feels like dysfunction leaking through the locker room. You don't develop a quarterback by drowning him in uncertainty.
Blaming Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. As you guys can see some of these comments, Mary is lying. Every year coaches take NFL jobs with unsettled quarterback position. It has nothing to do with Sanders or the QB room. It's the Browns. No matter who's playing for the team, no coach is rushing to play for a program like the Cleveland Browns. Someone else says that's not true in the Browns. For as far as you guys can see, everybody is agreeing. As far as Mary Kay is lying, can we pack her lying? Wow, I can't say that. Someone says, can we pack her lying? You know what up? And send her to the Atlanta Falcons. Someone else said it's more about Andrew Berry, 100%. Nobody wants to coach a lame duck this season. And, it's just.
You don't create confidence by cutting a young quarterback off from everything around him. And you sure as hell don't allow the locker room to go ice cold on someone who's supposed to be the future of your franchise. Go watch the film,
because film never lies. Shedeur Sanders popped on tape, and in almost every game there were stretches where he looked really, really good. Yes, things unraveled late at times, but that's exactly what happens when you rush development, strip away support, and then freak out once the pressure shows up. That falls on Stefanski. That falls on the front office. That accountability doesn't magically vanish just because another guy took the snaps. So here we are, and the reality is louder than it's ever been. Shedeur is still an unfinished, wide-open player because Cleveland never fully invested in his growth. They stalled him, they confined him, they sped up his internal clock, whether through incompetence or by design. And now ownership has some very real questions staring them in the face. Why cut reps if you truly believed in him? Why wait so long to protect him? Why let the locker room drift while a young quarterback absorbed all the blame? Why allow Stefanski to mishandle a valuable asset without stepping in? And the biggest question of all still hasn't gone away. Did you genuinely want Shedeur Sanders to succeed? Or was the plan always to move on and hang the failure on him? Because that difference matters more than anything.
I'm going to tell you guys my opinion after we get through reading some of these comments. You guys have to bear with me. It's moving pretty fast. But Browns counseled on the Browns. This is the second coach to counsel on the Cleveland Browns. And, you know, it sucks, but it is what it is, man. This is a very dysfunctional football team. Browns head coach candidates all pulling out. Everybody counseling on the Browns is the funniest thing I ever witnessed. And as you guys can continually read along with me, nobody wants to work for them. LMAO. Browns are a property franchise. Fire AB. Me personally, I don't think it has anything to do with Andrew Berry. I just feel like that the Browns, or they may not be 100% behind Shedeur Sanders. And so these coaches probably don't want to deal with.
And then there's the media side of this whole disaster. Because yes, it absolutely matters. Cleveland Browns media didn't just misunderstand what was happening. They actively helped make it more confusing. And here's the crazy part. Even with Stefanski gone, they still refuse to pivot. Mary Kay needs to end the fake breaking news act immediately. She's not educating fans. She's blasting a storyline at maximum volume. She rushes to claim credibility, wraps herself in journalism language, and then quietly pushes the same recycled narrative. Coaches are turning down Cleveland, but pay attention to what she never says directly. She wants the audience to assume it's because of Shedeur Sanders. That's the spin. That's the move. No tough questions about ownership, no pressure on the culture, no acknowledgement of instability. Just a gentle nudge suggesting a young quarterback is somehow frightening grown men away from jobs. That's lazy journalism, that's misleading framing, and that's propaganda dressed up to look professional. And it doesn't end there. Mary Kay, Jason Lloyd, Anthony Lima, same circle, same narratives, same Stefanski protection manual. Even with him gone, they're still playing defense, still shielding a system that failed, still unwilling to admit the Browns sabotaged their own situation. So let's be perfectly clear. Coaches are not avoiding Cleveland because of Shedeur Sanders. That claim is laughable. They're avoiding Cleveland because the building is chaotic. The vision changes every single year. The front office leaks like a sieve, and accountability vanishes the moment it's actually needed. But instead of saying that out loud, certain voices aim downward at the easiest target, the young quarterback with no media shield. That's cowardly work, and anyone truly paying attention sees it clearly. Shedeur Sanders didn't scare anyone away. The Browns did, Stefanski did, the culture did, and the media helped hide it. Mary Kay isn't protecting the truth, she's protecting access. Same story with Lloyd, same story with Lima.
And about Shedeur and him saying he wanted him before, that puts Shedeur on Team Munkin. And it's a positive thing more than...
I see.
Jeff, if a coach wants you and it says, I wanted you, it's a big deal.
He didn't say that.
We wanted you in Baltimore.
We tried to draft you.
That means we want you.
Doesn't mean that he did, Andy. It means the organization did.
Would you, if you didn't want him, there's no way you would have said that.
Well, you're going to walk up to him, and what are you going to do? Ignore him the first time you see him?
No, hey, it's nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to working with you. That's it.
Well,
he went out of his way to say,
trying to build a good relationship with him. Of course, he's going to say that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but
what's he going to say? By the way, we thought it was crap that you didn't want to get drafted by us, and we thought you were arrogant. So thanks for not coming. And now I got to deal with you. Is he going to say that?
No, but he's also not going to say we wanted you in Baltimore if he doesn't want him here in Cleveland. Why would you say that?
Now you're interpreting things.
You're interpreting things. What I'm telling you is there's no better feeling for an athlete than to have their coach say, we want you, we wanted you.
That's my point.
And if they're still recycling Stefanski-era excuses after he's already out the door, then maybe they should have left with him. Atlanta, anywhere else, just not Cleveland. Because Browns fans aren't clueless anymore. And that reality matters more right now than ever before. The audience has matured, the blind faith is gone, and the excuses don't hit the same way they used to. So here's the question ownership can't duck anymore. How much longer are you going to let the same media voices poison the atmosphere around your young quarterback? How long before you stop pinning this on Shedeur Sanders and actually start cleaning house for real? Let's be crystal clear, because the lies are stale and the tactics are obvious now. Mary Kay keeps subtly sliding blame into the quarterback room, hinting at Dillon Gabriel, hinting at Shedeur Sanders, without ever having the nerve to say it outright. That's not analysis, that's suggestion. That's how smears operate when facts don't back you up. That's the play, that's the game, and it collapses the moment you apply even basic history. Every single year, NFL coaches take jobs with messy quarterback situations, rookies, backups, stopgaps, or no clear starter at all. That's normal NFL reality. Coaches don't run from quarterback uncertainty, they run from organizational dysfunction, and that's what this has always been about. Not Shedeur, not the quarterback room, not talent evaluation. This is about the Cleveland Browns as a system. The same broken framework, the same confusion, the same front office chaos on repeat. You can swap names on locker doors all day, but no serious coach is lining up to fix a house that keeps setting itself on fire. And the fans see it, even if certain reporters wish they didn't. The spin isn't landing anymore. People aren't buying it. They recognize when they're being pushed, and now they're pushing back loudly. Stop blaming the players. This franchise has a reputation problem, not a quarterback problem. When your own audience rejects your narrative in real time, that isn't journalism, that's exposure. And notice how Shedeur Sanders keeps becoming the quiet target. No direct accusations, just whispers, just sources say energy.
Shedeur Sanders.
First of all, it should have been.
I think it's a great question to ask.
I think it's a great question to ask. 100% needed to be a part of the process.
With all three guys.
It needed to be part of the process. Listen, Shedeur, for everything that has ever been said about him, whether it was me, whether it was Jason Lloyd, whether it was you or Emmanuel Acho, he is absolutely somebody who showed some promise at times, regardless of the stats or how it looked. He showed poise at times, making throws while he was getting crushed behind a terrible offensive line. And he clearly demonstrated that he can throw a deep ball and give players a chance vertically that was missing basically for the entire season. He has to be a part of the conversation. Now, I don't know how big of a part of the conversation.
This actually makes you feel should make you feel a little bit better about the process. Not that much, but still a little bit better. I go back to what we were just talking about with the whole Acho audio and all that silliness, and why I got into a really strong argument a few weeks ago with Jason.
Just enough suggestion to redirect frustration away from ownership and management. That's not fair analysis. That's character damage, and it's deliberate whether they want to admit it or not. Mary Kay isn't defending truth here. She's defending relationships. She's defending access. And she's banking on fans being confused enough to confuse proximity with credibility. But that era is finished, and the reaction proves it. Now let's finally address the real reason coaches are backing away, because this part actually adds up. Andrew Barry is sitting in the middle of a lame duck front office with shaky job security and no long-term roadmap. Coaches don't want to walk into a building knowing one season could get them fired, no matter what the results look like. That scares real football people far more than any young quarterback ever could. Blaming Shedeur Sanders is the easy path. Blaming the Browns' power structure is the honest one. And that honesty is exactly what certain voices refuse to touch. This isn't funny anymore, and it's not just background noise either. Coaches pulling out isn't a joke, it's a warning flare. And finally, someone is saying the quiet part out loud. This isn't about talent evaluation. This isn't about fear of coaching young players. This is about the chaos surrounding the Browns right now. Coaches look at Cleveland and see confusion at the top. No clear leader, no clear plan, no clear direction at quarterback. One day it's Shedeur Sanders, the next day it's silence. And coaches hate silence. Silence equals uncertainty. Silence means nobody in charge wants to put their name on a decision. Coaches don't want to walk into a building where ownership can't even say who their guy is. That's not football risk, that's career suicide. Shedeur Sanders is not the problem. The uncertainty around him is. The refusal to commit is. The constant hedging is. And if we're going to really cook this the right way, let's be honest about who earned it. Browns management keeps tripping over itself, and now those stumbles are happening in broad daylight. Mixed signals everywhere you look. One hand talks about development, patience, and long-term vision, while the other hand hides Shedeur Sanders week after week like they're afraid of their own decision. One week they defend him publicly, the next week quiet doubt starts leaking through unnamed sources. That's not leadership, that's panic wearing a tailored suit. And coaches recognize it immediately. They see a front office that looks ready to hit the eject button after one bad month. They see ownership that won't commit to a direction unless it's already guaranteed to succeed. They see people protecting themselves instead of building something real. And worst of all, they see a locker room that doesn't even know who it's supposed to rally behind. That's a fatal flaw in the NFL. Teams don't win without clarity. They don't win without belief. They don't win when players feel like decisions are temporary and leadership is afraid to stand on its own choices. So ask yourself this: why would any serious head coach willingly step into that level of instability? Not because of Shedeur Sanders, but because the Cleveland Browns refuse to stand behind him the way real organizations do. This is what dysfunction looks like when it's fully exposed. No spin, no cover, no hiding behind buzzwords, just confusion leaking from the top down. And the wildest part of all is that the solution is painfully simple.
Media can think whatever they want. Fans can think whatever they want. Like, I'm a fan and a media member, and I'll tell you this. I'd rather just move on from Deshaun Watson and take the hit and not have to risk him out there and deal with people booing and cheering or possible injuries or any of that other stuff. I'd rather just move on. I'd much rather have Shedeur Sanders out there and have those arguments all day long, or even Dylan Gabriel for that matter, or any one of the other young pups that could be possibly coming out of the draft. But you know what? I ain't no NFL head coach. And I wasn't up for the Cleveland Browns job. And if I was the owner of the Cleveland Browns, I would like to know, hey, this is what we have. All right, I can't move out from underneath this contract. This is what we have here. So how would you work with each one of these three guys? Shedeur Sanders, who in the media is a polarizing figure, not within the walls of Berea, who Deshaun Watson and Dylan Gabriel. I'll throw Dylan Gabriel in there as well. What would you do to work with all three? Because if your answer is cut them, I don't think I'd need to work with you.
Well,
I'm serious.
You're not head coaching material if you don't think that you can work with, basically, we know how many quarterbacks started last year, 62. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a quarterback, most likely, like Denver was the one that they didn't have to go to a backup last year at any point, and then guess what? They needed him.
Which is exactly why this situation keeps getting more embarrassing with every passing day, and it still hasn't happened. Every day it doesn't happen sends a louder message than any press conference ever could. Ownership needs to act now, not next month, not after another interview cycle falls apart, not after another coach quietly pulls his name from consideration. Right now,
Step out and say it with strength and clarity. Shedeur Sanders is our franchise quarterback, period. No qualifiers, no hesitation. No, we'll see how it plays out language. Put your name on it. Own it. Protect it. Stand on it publicly and privately. Then watch what happens next, because the shift would be immediate. Coaches start listening again. Candidates suddenly return calls they stopped answering. Conversations reopen. The entire narrative flips almost overnight because confidence attracts leadership. Confusion does the opposite. Confusion repels experience. Confusion tells every coach in the league that nobody inside the building wants to take responsibility. Silence is not neutral in the NFL. Silence is weakness. So the real question for Browns ownership can't be avoided anymore. How long are you going to hide behind that silence? How long are you going to let fear run your football decisions? And how many more respected voices need to say it out loud before you finally do the obvious thing and stand behind Shedeur Sanders? And yes, the media angle still matters because perception is being shaped in real time. Mary Kay is clearly fighting to stay relevant now that her comfort coach is gone, and fans see right through it. People aren't confused anymore. They're angry. And that anger exists because everyone understands this has nothing to do with the quarterback room and everything to do with ownership refusing to loosen its grip. Real coaches want authority. They want real influence over roster decisions. They want to build their own staff. They want accountability that flows both ways. Cleveland does the opposite. They choose names first. They lock decisions early. They control everything from the top, then ask a coach to walk in, smile, and accept a setup he didn't design. That's backwards football. That's not how successful franchises operate. And that's why candidates keep walking away, not because of Shedeur Sanders. Fans are loud about this now, and they're not wrong. There is no drama with Shedeur at all. He works, he prepares, he stays quiet, he does exactly what young quarterbacks are supposed to do. The only drama lives inside the Cleveland media machine, pushing narratives that protect ownership and redirect blame downward. And Mary Kay keeps leading that charge, tossing smoke while the real fire is clearly burning in the front office. Reports already say these coaches believe they have better opportunities elsewhere. Better structures, cleaner chains of command, real authority, real vision, real stability. That fact alone destroys the entire argument being pushed. If Shedeur Sanders were the issue, why even take the interview? Why waste the time? Why engage at all? The truth stings, and that's why it keeps getting dodged. The Browns' dysfunction has never been about Shedeur Sanders. It's about a broken front office. It's about leadership that refuses to commit. And it's about a media group that won't tell the truth until accountability becomes unavoidable. Until ownership fixes that, nothing changes. Not the perception, not the coaching interest, not the direction of this franchise.